Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's been a while. Can't look. It's been so long. I don't even know if I remember the last time I came up here with an episode. But I mean, look, there's a lot to get into. There's a lot that I kind of want to talk about. But before we do that, just have to get in, fix some of these titles, of course. So hopefully the multi-stream is working. Um, that's what I'm checking really quickly. But as you can see right here, this is what I'm going to be going over in this episode. Don't want to be in front of you too long. It's a little late. I know some people, well, first of all, I should say, hopefully you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. I know a lot of you are probably still sleeping off that Thanksgiving dinner or working it off. I mean, you got one life to live. Enjoy yourself. I know I ate well. Hopefully you did. Um, but yeah, so let's see here. But yeah, so if you're in the comments, let me know you're here. Say what's up. I will try to pull them all up like on my phone and stuff while we're doing this. And I'm testing out the whole media board and everything as well. So this episode is. It worked. All right. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Um, there we go. So hopefully that looks good over on Twitch. Like I said, if you're over, like I said, if you tuned in, let me know you're here. Say what's up. All right, so that one looks good. Good. All right, let me check YouTube really quickly because that's been the one that's kind of giving me some trouble, and then we'll get into this. Okay, the title's completely wrong, but whatever. I don't know why it does that. Uh, well, I'll just edit that after. Wait, hold on. I know to fix that. Wait a second. So, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna get back into doing these pretty regularly. Past couple weeks has been tough. I've been kind of busy and everything, and just haven't been able to do these. But what am I doing here? Why is it not showing? All right, so yeah, YouTube. It shows I'm live. We're gonna run with that. Yeah, like I said, I'll fix the title on YouTube a little later. And one last place. That one didn't work. I knew it wasn't gonna work. All right. I don't know why it does that. Wait. I might not do this. I just do. Nope. This is so much more difficult than it needs to be. All right, so share this one. So yeah, help people watch on Twitch. What's going on? That's how I'm gonna get going with the show here in a second. Just make sure everything was right before I did so. Yes. Once again, hopefully you're enjoying your Thanksgiving, enjoying some sports as well. There's been some things that have caught my eye that, like I said, I will be talking about here in a second. Okay. Let's see. One last place. All right. Let's go ahead and get into this. Like I said, it looks like a lot, but I'm gonna try to get through these as quickly as possible. All right. So on this episode, I want to talk about South Carolina. You know, the women's team made some news for a recent score. Well, it's basketball, not South Carolina football, which I guess would have been relevant since they are still playing. But the South Carolina women's team want to talk about something involving them and a blowout. Then talk about this whole Angel Reese stuff. I think it's interesting to say the least, and I think I'm gonna come about it in a different way than maybe you might be expecting. So we'll definitely talk about that. Talk about a trio of rivalry week college football games that has some implications on the playoff. Auburn, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington State. Watched all three games. Intriguing finishes to a couple of them for sure. But I thought there were three compelling games. We'll say that. Then I want to talk about the Orlando Magic. I've seen a couple of the games, and I don't know. Like it says on here, are they legit? Like, are they for real? I would love to know what you think about that. And then I got to end it with my NFL picks for the weekend. So far, with the Thanksgiving games and Black Friday, I think I'm like 3-1. So I have a decent start. I always do by the spread, but I'll give you the rest of my picks. And also, I guess I will say, welcome to the audio listeners that will check this out later. Appreciate all of you as well. Let's go ahead, get into this first topic. So, like I said, South Carolina, as you can see right here, destroyed Mississippi Valley State 101-19. That's not some like doctored image or anything. That's legitimately what happened. And it's expected. South Carolina's number one team in the country. I think they started the season at like 6 or something, which I thought was kind of crazy, and it jumped up to 1 pretty quickly. Now, college football does this. You know, a team will schedule some lower level squad to kind of beat up on and feel good about themselves. I have issues with it when dealing with college football. I I gotta question this as well because if you look at this score and everything, what's the benefit to it? Okay, so South Carolina dominates Mississippi Valley State. Okay, does that say anything about the team as a whole? No. For Mississippi Valley State, it's like, what do they learn from this? Nothing. You know, going in, they knew it was going to be a challenge, and they got beat down. All I see here is just kind of an unnecessary opportunity for players to get hurt. Maybe you disagree with me. That's fine. I'm here for it. But I just don't get the meaning of this. Because I heard somebody saying, like, earlier on, maybe like college sports radio or something, they had a problem with it as well. And I kind of agreed with them. Because it just doesn't make sense. South Carolina could have scheduled some other team or whatever. It actually had film that they could analyze after. Like for Don Staley, like you're gonna look at this tape. What are you gonna say? What is there to say? So that's just where I'm coming from with this. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. To be honest with you, it's not something that I would, lose sleep over or something like that. I just don't understand it. Like I said, college football, it bothers me as well. Certain conferences do it a little bit more than others. Maybe that's because, I'm from the Boston area. College football, college sports in general, aren't the biggest thing up there because none of the teams are, I guess, good enough to take the attention away from the professional sports up there. I mean, look, BC football was relevant. What with Doug Flutie? I wasn't old enough to remember that. And then a few years ago now, when Matt Ryan had the team up as high as I think number two in the country, and then they lost a couple games. And well, you know how that season went. UMass is known for the Calipari scandal of Marcus Camby. So college sports aren't big up there. So maybe if they were, I view this differently. But I just don't get games like this. It's not enjoyable to watch. But like I said, grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal. South Carolina is still a dominant squad. To me, they're still the best team in the country, even though they didn't start off that way. I thought they were to begin with. But uh, let's go to the next story. But tonight is, WWE War Games, right? Premium live event. If you're a wrestling fan, it's one of the ones that you probably circle on your calendar of Survivor Series. If you want to take it to the college basketball ranks, what's going on at LSU is kind of their version of War Games. This Angel Reese stuff is interesting. I'm not going to sit here and tell you like I'm like deep diving into all this and know the ins and outs of everything, because I'd be lying to you. I don't want to do that. But as I said at the top, I'm gonna come at this from an interesting perspective. So when I look at this, I could connect kind of this story to possible, like men's teams or NBA players who might be under the same thing as Angel Reese, and it's kind of played out similarly. So what I'm saying is, look, maybe the whole celebrity aspect that Angel Reese received after LSU won the, well, after LSU's run in the tournament and everything like that, maybe it got to her. Maybe she became bigger than the team. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't deep dived into this, but it's just interesting to me that she was the talk of the sports world basically last season, and then now all of a sudden, it's like it's all crashing in on her. We got teammates, parents talking about her, possibly missing time from the team because of grades. You got her coach who's not saying anything. And if you look at Kim Mulkey, she's got a little bit of history with players, and I think that makes her very polarizing. So when you look at this kind of story here, there's a lot of people that will take Angel's side because they're just not fans of Kim Mulkey. I get it. I'm not going to sit here and sway you. Then there's going to be others who may look at Kim Mulkey in this situation, take her side because, like I said, they might see Angel Reese as a player who maybe got too big for LSU. What I'll say is, I did think, I saw some video, I can't remember which game it was from. I'm hoping it's not the Colorado game, but Angel Reese had a player introduction. She gets to the end of the line, and they handed her a crown. She put it on and posed. That's a bold move right there. Because if you're doing that, you better dominate game in and game out. Otherwise, it's going to look a little, yeah. And I remember that Colorado game. Angel Reese did not have a good showing in that game. Like Colorado was kind of pushing around a little bit, and that game kind of went the way it did. Colorado beat them. They were the number one team. That basically led to South Carolina becoming number one because I think that same week a lot of the teams in front of South Carolina ended up losing, and South Carolina is undefeated. So Angel Reese is still away from the team. We still don't know the reason why. So it's left up to speculation. And look, that's LSU's prerogative. That's Kim Mulkey's prerogative because she has a team to coach. So whatever way she thinks is best to diffuse the situation or not make the situation bigger than what's going on the court, she's gonna try it. I don't know if it's working because, like I said, Angel Reese is still a story, and who knows? Maybe it's a season-long one, or I don't know. Maybe until we know, I guess, the reason for her not being on the team, maybe that will affect the narrative that kind of goes along with the story. Like I said, if it's a grades thing, look, Angel Reese wouldn't have been the first college athlete to have grade issues. It happens. It's college. Like I said, not a rarity. Now, if it's like a behavioral thing, that's interesting. Now, that probably prolongs the story, to be honest with you. But definitely worth watching. I guess if any other news comes out about it, I will talk about that. But for now, that's kind of where we're left. Speculating. And okay, but yeah, so it is what it is. Um, we'll see. We'll see who comes out on top at the end of this. I would say right now, I feel like right now Kim Moak is being. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that, but we'll see where it ends up. You let me know. Like, how long do you think Angel Reese stays away from the team? Do you think she comes back at all this season? I mean, if that happens, that's going to be wild if she's just dismissed. And also, I guess I could ask, what do you think her prospects are for the WNBA? Because I wonder. I'm sure she's going to go in with like the highest praise and probably the highest prized prospect in the draft. I don't know. I just don't know. But that's what I'm waiting for, though. You know, LSU is just a means to an end until we see Angel Reese one day on the WNBA court. All right, so let's go ahead and get to this next story. All right, so like I said, college football captured my eye all day. So this was not the first game of the day out of the three I'm going to talk about, but this is the one I want to start with. How Alabama won this game, I have no idea. You know, Alabama is obviously the better team, but for 98.5% of this game, Auburn looked like they were going to win it and should have won it. Then the wheels fell off. So this image here is the last play, basically, of the game, where Alabama took their final lead. I can see, as you can see with the scoreboard that I have up there as well, fourth quarter, not a lot of scoring happened. This was a 4th and goal from about, I don't know, like the 20, almost like the 30-yard line, I want to say. Because Milrow took a bad sack on 3rd down, set them all the way back. I remember the commentators were saying maybe they kick a field goal with 3 timeouts and use their defense. I don't think that was going to work with Alabama. Because Auburn, like I said, was playing really well. Their quarterback was making smart decisions with the ball. He was creating a lot of plays with his legs. And I felt like they would have been able to secure the win. Because look at the stats once again. Auburn only had 93 yards passing. they did all of this on the ground against Alabama. So, like I said, for most of the day, Auburn looked like the tougher team in the trenches. O line in their D line. Well, O line, I'll say sorry, because I'll talk about their offense. But once again, I don't know. Maybe the stage got too bright for them because Auburn's 6-6. They're bowl eligible, yeah, but they're not really going to be factoring into the playoffs or anything like that. And this is a chance for them to take down their arch nemesis, in-state rival Alabama, completely knock them out of the playoff picture. Because look, Alabama fans, if they'd gotten their second loss, they'd be out. I said before the season, I told some Alabama people this. I don't see Alabama making the playoff anyway. This keeps their hopes alive. Alive a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see Monday, or Tuesday, where the committee puts Alabama. Because a game like this, Alabama wasn't dominating, like I said. Auburn was winning and should have won until this play on 4th and goal, where I don't know what the safety was doing on this play, because this play should have ended probably one of three ways. Milrow throws the pass, ball's in the air. It should have been knocked down, intercepted, or in this case where it looks like the Bama player might get it, all the safety has to do commit pass interference. Because remember, unlike the NFL, pass interference in college football is just a 15-yard penalty. Worst case, you have an untimed down, I guess at that point, with the last play of the game being 4th and goal from like the 15, 16-yard line. Then you just take your chances once again. But no, he completely lost sight of the ball, which is incredible to me that he had no clue the ball was in the air. Then, I think the Alabama player separated a little bit, I'll say, with a tiny push. Nothing I would call. I'm just going to say that. But got enough separation to go up, get the ball, so he's in the air. Then at that point, maybe the Auburn player can push him out of bounds and you save face. He doesn't do that either. Allows him to catch it back in the end zone for a touchdown. Even though defensively they're playing prevent, they have 3 guys on the goal line. They had a couple of guys like 10 yards in front of them who dropped back right after the snap. It should have been defended. But in Auburn fashion, I guess that's what Alabama fans would say, they found a way to lose this one. So now, like I said, Alabama saves their season. They're 11-1. Unfortunately for them, I'll save that because we'll talk about the implications of the playoff after the 3rd game, I guess. So Alabama's still alive. They were 8th ranked going in. I could see the committee putting them. Well, they're definitely going to move up. We'll leave it at that. Because the next game, Ohio State, Michigan. So Alabama, Auburn is the Iron Bowl. Ohio State, Michigan is, what do they call this game? I was going to say something like the Big House or something. But that's what they call Michigan. Because if it was at Ohio State, they'd be at the shoe. I honestly don't know what this rivalry game is called. And that's probably bad on my part because it's one of the rivalry games I love watching each season, but I feel like they don't mention what the game's called. Either way, this is a game that both teams played about as well as I thought. Number 2 versus number 3. The game ended on a Kyle McCord, the quarterback for Ohio State, dropping back. He gets hit on the throw. Moore in the secondary from Michigan makes a diving catch for the interception. That's how the game ended. But what I feel like was interesting because I was on Rod Uncensored. What day was that? During the week. And we actually talked about this because looking at Georgia's number one, Georgia trying to do the three-peat and everything like that, we were talking about who's the team that can stop them. And we both agreed that Michigan would make it interesting. I think what makes Michigan interesting is they play like a physical brand of football that I think you have to bring to SEC schools. I think where a lot of teams fall, into the trap playing against SEC teams, they think, oh, we'll spread them out, we'll make it high scoring, and we'll combat their physicality with our speed. Newsflash: top SEC teams have speed as well. Where they beat other conferences down is that they're just more physical than some of these other schools in these other conferences on their offensive line and their defensive line, which leads to blowouts all the time. That's why I think Michigan can make it interesting against them. Ohio State, to be honest with you, I think if you're a Georgia fan, you would much rather see Ohio State than Michigan. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, going back to the game. And Michigan showed that, dominance or whatever in their score to kind of, I guess, their drive to make it 30-24. They went on a long, methodical drive where I think they did like nothing but running plays, which was like the second week in a row they've done that. And I think like that style plays well against Georgia, as long as you commit to it. So either way, I don't think this game changes much playoff wise. I think the most you'll get is them flip flopping. Because I feel like these two, unless this game turned into a blowout, I don't think either team really loses anything here. Just nothing but seeding. Even though the broadcast kept trying to bring up the stakes on the line in this game, we won't see it again because of the 12-team playoff. I don't know why these announcers are talking like that. It's almost like they're trying to discredit the 12-team playoff when, in fact, it's great for the sport. And there's still going to be implications in a game like this because seeding is going to matter. But let's be real. The 12 teams, so the first 6 teams obviously get home games. But in order to get those seeds, you got to be a conference champion. So that still raises the stakes in a game like Ohio State Michigan because you still want to win that matchup to go to the Big Ten championship to win it to get a top seed in the playoff. So yeah, I don't get it. It just I just don't like when commentators say stuff like that. It's almost like they're trying to undermine the process. And it screams of, back in my day, we did it this way, which I always hate that. So yeah, Michigan gets by Ohio State. Like I said, we'll see Tuesday what they do. The last game I want to talk about was Washington State. Because Washington's been an interesting team to watch for me all season. They've been number 5 for a lot of weeks, obviously positioning themselves to be that team to take advantage if somebody in the top 4 were to lose or kind of slip up and play. Washington did that. They swapped with Florida State, who fell out of the top 4 because of, I guess, not Travis Hunter. Their quarterback getting hurt. The committee seemingly knocked them out of the top 4 because the quarterback got hurt. So it's setting it up for them to possibly lose a game either this week against Florida State playing Florida or in the ACC title game. But this game, look, Washington State came to play. 5-7. They were playing for an opportunity to be bowl eligible, so they had something to play for. But they're also looking to play spoiler against Washington in the Apple Cup. Once again, I know the name to this one, in Alabama Auburn. I don't know Michigan Ohio State. Somebody will have to let me know in the comments what they call a game. I mean, obviously I can look it up after, but you know, just saying. I would like to know the name of that one. But this is a game where Michael Penix didn't look, as invincible as he looked all season. He struggled throwing the ball in this game. And for him, he's a guy with Heisman aspirations. A performance like this could hurt him a little bit. But that's later down the line. I mean, that's for another episode. I guess Heisman candidates or whatever. But Washington did enough. They won it on a walk-off field goal, which, showed the image of Michael Penix not even being able to look. He had his head in a, I don't even know what that was, but he didn't look until the kick went through. He heard the roar and everything. So for Washington, they still have the Pac-12 title game, but it seems like they're destined for a playoff. And we also talk about Washington as well on Rod Uncensored. The hope is that Washington, if they get there, don't become like TCU. I mean, for Washington's sake, which is also an interesting storyline with this, the year the Pac-12 basically disbanding, they might actually finally get a team into the playoff. It's hilarious to me. But Washington's moving on to, look, with all the Pac-12 movement, I'm blanking here. Washington's going to the Big 12, I think. Yeah, because UCLA and Oregon going Big 10, or is Washington might be going to the Big 10 with them. I remember they were like later on in the process, but Washington State, I believe, is still homeless at this point. I guess sticking with the Pac-2, and I guess I don't know. I don't know what's going on. College football, the movements it's just crazy. I just talked about screams of back in my day. I still miss the old conferences, the conferences that were like geographically laid out, made a lot of sense. BC is in the Big East with a bunch of teams from that area, and you could look at it and be like, oh, makes sense. Now you got teams up north playing with teams in the south. You got teams out west playing with Midwest teams. It's a lot. It's a lot. But I digress. So like I said, looking at the three games, I do think the implication on the playoff is minimal. We'll have to see with Georgia, because Georgia's playing Georgia Tech, a game they should win. But Georgia this season has been kind of up and down, not as dominant as they've been previous years. But let's say Georgia wins that one, they'll be number one, fine. Even with facing Alabama in the SEC title game, I think Georgia's locked in. 2 and 3, Ohio State, Michigan. Like I said, because of that game and it being close, I think those two just flip-flop. Michigan becomes 2, Ohio State 3. I don't think this Washington performance is good enough to jump Ohio State, even though they lost. Because, like I said, Washington looked kind of sloppy and everything like that. So I think they will stay at 4. Outside of that, Florida State has to be Florida, but I don't think they jump into the top 4 either. So for teams like Florida State, Alabama even at 8, and the teams in between, they need that Ohio State Michigan game to be a blowout one way or the other to knock one of the teams out of the top 4. And without that, I just think the 3 spots are locked in. Their best bet now for Florida State, Alabama, and teams like that is for Washington to now lose the Pac-12 title game. Florida State will be in the ACC title game. Alabama's in the SEC title game. Those teams would have to win, obviously, in the SEC in their title game to have a chance to jump them. But that's going to be their way in. Otherwise, I think the top 4 might be locked in if everything goes chalk, I guess. So, like I said, we'll see Tuesday. The committee's done crazier things, but that's the way I think it's going to go. Now, switching gears to the NBA. Orlando Magic. Watched them a couple of times. I watched them against the Lakers when they probably should have won that game. kind of blew it down the stretch with some ill-advised shots and poor play. Then I watched them against the Celtics in the play-in tournament game, which was what, like 2 o'clock on Black Friday. I mean, having sports on that early, wasn't mad at it. Celtics looked kind of lethargic, which can happen in an afternoon game, but I was thoroughly impressed by Orlando. I think they have a so look. Orlando's become what Detroit's been for like 8 years, where every year, beginning of the season, there's always some NBA analysts that are like, "Oh, this is the year Detroit puts it together. They got all this young talent, da da da." And then every year they're one of the worst teams in the East, similar to this year. Orlando somehow has done the Detroit thing way better than them. Although Orlando was kind of in the same situation not too long ago, where you were looking at them as a young team that's just going nowhere. Then it became kind of a young team with some veterans that they needed to move out to just let the young guys play. And they moved those veterans out. Because if you look up and down the Orlando lineup, you got guys like Boncaro, Wagner, Franz, and Mo. You got Fultz, who's reinvigorated his career in Orlando. You got Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, so Wendell Carter, a lot of young players. So when I watch them, I think I've said this on the Big Three over on Sports Empire Network, where you catch me Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Quick plug, I guess. But Orlando is fun to watch. But then outside of that, they're actually playing winning basketball. Now, we'll have to see if they can keep it up all season because the season's still young. But they find themselves, second in the East right now. They, like I said, play up tempo at times, kind of living on the edge of being just out of control. But I like that. That's how I think young teams need to play. Because, well, actually, I can't say that, but I appreciate young teams that play that way and win. Because some young teams get on the court and it just looks like a hot mess. But Orlando seems to be doing it right. So now that I look at Orlando, I think there's a couple of things that come into question. Do they need to make a move at the trade deadline? I say yes. Only for one thing. I would love to see them get a veteran guard on that team. Because I think at times when they're out of control and Bancaro as well can kind of settle for perimeter shots too much, I would love to see a veteran guard kind of be on the court to get the ball out of Bancaro's hand, maybe direct him onto the block or something like that. Just to, make sure that they execute down the stretch of games. And a name I thought of is Tyus Jones because the whole Washington situation looks like it's about to implode. And I can see Tyus Jones being available. Would love to see him on Orlando. And then the second thing that has me thinking is something I heard on NBA radio, and I thought was a great point. The issue a lot of young teams have is when they all come up for contracts, how do they approach it? Because in Orlando's mind, they would love to have this group kind of stay together, continue to grow. And shout out to Mosley, the coach, doing a great job. Obviously, looks like the early season coach of the year favorite. No disagreement from me there. But what happens when you have Bancaro, Wagner, Suggs, and whatever coming for contracts? Will Bancaro want a max contract? If Orlando gives him a max contract, then who does that affect later down the line in the pecking order? If Franz Wagner and Bancaro get max contracts, who does that affect down the line? So I'll say Sam Mitchell brought this up. That's who it was. He said he would love to see Orlando, the young players, get together and say, look, we don't need max contracts because we can all get good money and stay together. I think it's a great way to think. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. I might be a little skeptical of that. It'll depend on, well, obviously it'll depend on the mentality of these Magic players. But we see a lot of times players automatically think they deserve a max, and then when they don't get it, they become disgruntled. So I hope that doesn't happen with Orlando because I would love to see them stay together as well. But it is what it is. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, let me know what you think. Like, do you think Orlando's a legit team? Do you think that this is just a, I don't know, fly by night operation and they'll crash back down to earth? And also, do you think they would benefit from like a veteran guard, like a Tyus Jones type, being added to the team, or do you think that they're good as is? Let me know down in the comment section as well. All right, I think we're ready for my NFL picks, the part of the show you all love. So last week I went 8-7. The week before I went 8-6-1. I'm starting to rally a little bit. Look, I'm 67, 72, and 3. Still below 500, but get creeping ever so closely to that 500 mark. I've got, what, 6 weeks to go in the season to get above 500. Like I said, starting off pretty well so far this week. So these are my picks for the Sunday games as well as Monday. My picks for Thanksgiving and everything. Like I said, I did those on sideline to sideline or Big Three or whatever. So I'm using those in this. So when I come back on here like Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll recap my picks and see if I can get closer to 500. But here is what I have for my winners. So I'm taking the Patriots minus 3.5 at the Giants. I know I've said on Big Three that I hate picking Patriots games now. We'll see who their starting quarterback's going to be. Bill Belichick's very mum on that. I think it's going to be Mac Jones. That's just me. Would love to see Malik Cunningham come out of the bye week as the starting quarterback, but I just thought about it. I know Malik Cunningham was released. I think he was re-signed to the practice squad. I'm pretty sure he was. So, would love to see it. Wouldn't be mad. If that game kicks off, Patriots have the ball, and Cunningham runs out, fine. I will celebrate it. Because the season's lost anyway. Give him a chance. All right, got the Steelers minus 1.5 at the Bengals. This game I went back and forth with. Yes, Burrow's hurt, but Browning gets a week of preparation. Does he look better? And then with that, can the Bengals still win it? Bengals still have talent. Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, guys like that. The big question mark's obviously going to be Browning. What can he do in the passing game? I'll give it to the Steelers. I'll say TJ Watt and that defense get to Browning and make it difficult. And Pickett's got new life. They fired Matt Canada finally. I guess that solves all their issues. We'll see. It worked for Buffalo. I guess I'm assuming Pittsburgh does the same thing with their first game without the OC. I've got Tennessee minus 3.5 against the Panthers. Look, Panthers aren't that great. Bryce Young has struggled. Will Levis has looked pretty decent. Give me Tennessee here. I've got Texans plus 1.5 against the Jaguars. I think the Texans win this game outright. Love what they're doing. Love their defense. CJ Stroud looks like he's legit. Even though I try to say I would have taken CJ Stroud over Bryce Young. Some people thought that was crazy because Bryce Young, had the Alabama pedigree, and CJ Stroud was a little bit up and down at Ohio State, but I still thought CJ Stroud was a better quarterback. Obviously, the book hasn't been written. It's their rookie seasons. Bryce Young could come on next year and look like all world. So CJ Stroud's leading it right now, but we'll see how their careers play out. But yeah, give me the upstart Texans over the Jaguars in this AFC South battle. Next up, I have Saints minus 1.5 at the Falcons. This is another game I went back and forth on. I convinced myself either team could win. I'm going to stick with the Saints. I'll say the Saints defense Gets to Desmond Ritter. Remember, Ritter's back behind center. How do you feel about that, Falcons fans? Yeah, I'll take Carr over Ritter. I'll take the Saints defense over the Falcons defense. Although the Falcons defense is pretty good, and they're at home. Falcons play well at home, but give me the Saints in this one. I've got the Bucks plus 2.5 uh, against the Colts. I think Baker Mayfield and that team go into Indy, beat um, Gardner Minshew and the Colts. Key will be the running game for the Colts. Can the Bucks stop it? And Baker Mayfield, no turnovers. I think the Bucks get it done. Plus, I never root for the Colts because can't stand them. Can't stand Jim Irsay. And this is the Colts team with no Shaq Leonard. He's been released. Okay. Give me the Cardinals plus 2.5 against the Rams. Kyler Murray looked pretty good against the Falcons. It's not last week, 2 weeks ago. Look, time is a myth at this point. I don't know, but I liked what I saw when the Cardinals played the Falcons. Kyler Murray looked pretty mobile. I wanted to see that. He looked like he still had some speed. Made some plays with his arm. I think Stafford's dealing with like a thumb injury or something still. Puka Nakua, Cardinals got to, definitely watch him. Don't allow him to go off. But I think a Cardinals win. I don't know. It's not an exciting game, but it's on the schedule. I've been looking at a lot of these games. Not a lot of them are intriguing. But hey, I'm here to make these picks for you. Next up, give me the Browns plus 1.5 at Denver, and the Broncos are playing much better now. Give me DTR and that defense. I think the defense is what wins them this game. I think they get to Russell Wilson, maybe cause a turnover or two. And I think DTR plays better. Plus their running game. They're going to have to lean on that as well. So give me the Browns in this one. Give me the Raiders to make it interesting against the Chiefs. I don't know if the Raiders win it outright, but they definitely cover the 9.5. I don't think the Chiefs are good enough to beat a lot of teams by double digits right now. I still think they're built that way. They're not that high-powered, quick-scoring offense anymore. They kind of got to do it methodically down the field. I think the Raiders are playing with new energy after the coaching change and everything. Raiders make it interesting. Give me the Raiders plus 9.5. I'll take the Eagles -3 over the Bills. I'm not sold on the Bills yet, just because they made their change at OC and Josh Allen had a good game last week. Need to see more. I think the Eagles are a better team up and down their roster. Give me the better team. Give me the Eagles -3. One thing that might be working in the Bills' favor, the Eagles have Niners next week. So if they're looking past the Bills, maybe the Bills sneak one out here, but give me the Eagles. I don't think it happens. I'm going to take the Ravens -3 against those Los Angeles Chargers. I guess I just trust the Ravens more. And plus -3. I would not be shocked if this is a game that I end up hitting, that ends up hitting right on the spread. Because it seems like the Ravens love to make it interesting, even if they're up big at halftime. They let their foot off the gas, and I don't know, in the second half, and it becomes a closer game. Maybe this is a game that's kind of back and forth in the fourth quarter, ends with a Justin Tucker field goal. But give me the Ravens -3 over the Chargers. And then give me Josh Dobbs and those Vikings -3 over the Bears. I said before the season, Vikings will be a playoff team. I believe it. Even with the coaching, not the coach, even with Kirk Cousins not being in there, I think Dobbs gets this team enough wins to get there, beginning with this week as well. This is a game that they will need to win if Dobbs can complete the mission and get them to the playoffs. So give me the Vikings and that defense with Brian Flores. Talk about this on Sideline to Sideline with my boy Gene a lot. Flores better be getting a job in the offseason. Just saying. And then I have it as bold prediction. I don't know if this is a bold prediction or not. Maybe I should just do it as a bonus prediction. But Panthers at Titans give me under 36.5. Not expecting a lot of points in that game. So give me the under 36 and a half. It's an interesting number. Because you think NFL 36 and a half, that seems really low. I think this is a game that Tennessee tries to dominate with the running game. And the Panthers offense, I don't know if they can put up enough points to make it. Yeah. So that's my bonus prediction. And I believe that's all I have for you. So, like I said, I obviously want to hear from you. So you let me know what you think about all these matchups and everything. You know, if you like my picks, what pick do you think I'm way off on? You know, it's all here. Let me know if you think I'll get over 500 by the end of the season. I would love to see what you guys think. I might make it the poll for the spot for the audio listeners. We'll see. But yeah, that's all I got. So let me do this. Bring it up. What's up? So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, and remember, this episode's
powered by Riverside FM.
Trust me, these little audio buttons I have, they will be getting used. I tried to use them like on an episode like a while ago. They didn't work that well, so I just stopped doing it. We're locked in now. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. You were able to share with some people that you know, some loved ones or some friends. Friendsgiving is a thing. As long as you got to share with somebody, that's what matters. Because especially during the holiday season, it's good to appreciate those that are in your life. And just remember, like there's some people out there who don't have anybody. So even if you're not able to be with them physically, send a text, call. It all matters. So I guess I'll leave you with that. Be safe out there. God bless. And I will catch you on tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do some EAFC. So if those of you who maybe haven't checked any of my gaming stuff, hopefully I will be doing some pro clubs tomorrow on EAFC with somebody who's kind of big in the EAFC community over on Twitch. I guess that's a tease. You'll have to look out for it. I'll try to schedule that one. I didn't schedule this one because this is kind of an impromptu type of thing. I just wanted to come in here and talk about some stuff that were on my mind. So definitely. And once again, remember.
Powered by Riverside FM.
All right. I think I'm kind of wearing that button out a little bit. But thank you. And appreciate all of you. We're on the road to, I guess, 200 subscribers over on YouTube. Passed 100 not too long ago. Appreciate all of you as well. Twitch coming up on 100 subscribers, 100 followers, sorry. Hopefully we can get there before the end of the year. We'll see. Yeah, definitely appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure you share it out as well. I would really appreciate it. And like I said, be on the lookout for more of these more often once again. I think I do have a legit schedule where I can do these multiple times a week. Plus, I just have a lot of fun talking to all of you. So, yeah. Another good episode. Stop it. All right. I'm out of here. Be good, everybody. I'll see you later.